Hey, what's good, RTJs? You know what time it is. Your boy Jeffrey L. Boney here for another live edition of Real Talk Junkies right here on the Forward Times Instagram and Facebook page. You already know what time it is. I got a special guest with me on today, June, representing that DTU, Chevrolet DTU. Got that DTU money in the building.
Jeff, how did June get a feature? Wait a minute, how you get a feature before I got a feature on the show?
Listen, that Chevrolet DTU money, man. I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? Money talk. You know what I'm saying? Hey, you got a Chevrolet?
I don't.
Okay, all right. I mean, I'm just saying. You know what I'm saying? Maybe if you jump in a Chevrolet, roll up here, and I have you on the next show. There you go. Chevrolet DTU, June in the building. She is representing for us this summer for the Forward Times as an intern, as part of the Chevrolet DTU program. She'll talk about that in just a minute, but I want to jump right in to the discussion. I always want to encourage you to check out, share the live with all of your friends, your family, your close loved ones. Also, make sure you check out forwardtimes.com. Every week, we always have the latest and greatest news. Also, check us out on all of our social media platforms. You'll see June with some of these TikToks that she's been putting out as part of this internship. But also want to make sure you check out jeffreylboney.com, engage with me personally. And of course, you know the book is coming. Don't argue with me. We'll get into that at the end of the show. All right, I want to jump right into today's discussion before both June and I have some conversation today. I want to definitely get her perspective as a young millennial college student right now. But I want to jump into something, she's in the media, I'm in the media, and journalism is so important, media is so important. And one of my historical sheroes, Ida B. Wells, who I absolutely love her life and her story. And I'm gonna share a little bit about her so that you can kind of get a gauge and an idea of why it is that I love Ida B. Wells so much as one of my historical sheroes. She was born a slave in 1862 in Holly Springs, Mississippi. Both of her parents, they knew how to read, so they taught her how to read at an early age. So growing up around political activists gave Ida B. Wells a sense of hope about the hope and the future possibilities for formerly enslaved individuals in American society. After both her and her parents after both of her parents died and her infant brother died unexpectedly when she was only 16 years old, she started to take the responsibility of raising her 5 younger brothers and sisters. So while in Memphis, she had to become accustomed to riding the train in whatever seat she chose. But in 1883, she actually sued the Chesapeake. A lot of us, we talk about Rosa Parks, we know about the bus boycott and all that stuff, but we don't know about Ida B. Wells back in 1883, who sued the Chesapeake and Ohio Railroad because they forbade her from sitting in the ladies' coach. This incident sparked Ida B. Wells to write an article about her experience, which became an instant success and helped her influence everything around her and helped influence her to change her entire career to actually become a journalist. We're going to talk about that today. Being a journalist, being in the media, and how important and powerful it is, the role we play in media. Wells continued to fight against injustice all throughout the South. She decided to use the power of her pen to expose the motives behind the violence against Black folks. Back in the day, lynching was a big deal. And as lynching had become one of the main strategic tools that white people used to terrorize Black people in the South, Ida B. Wells wrote about lynching, and she started to expose it. And she became the focal point as far as lynching is concerned. And that actual focus on lynching became a focal point of her crusade for justice. Just like now, we talk about voting rights, we talk about Black Lives Matter, we talk about all these things. Back in the day, 1883, this was her focal point. She was the Black Lives Matter back in the gap. So anyway, when 3 of her male friends who were successful Black businessmen were lynched on the pretext of a crime that they didn't even commit, Ida B. Wells wrote about the situation with clarity and forcefulness, and it riveted the attention of not only Black people, but white people in the South. She advocated for both an economic boycott and a mass exodus, and she traveled throughout the United States and England writing about and speaking about lynching and the government's refusal to intervene to stop it. Did that sound familiar about some of the stuff we're dealing with today? Anyway, this so enraged her enemies that they burned her printing presses, they put a price on her head, they threatened her life, even if she returned to the South. So she remained in exile for almost 40 years away from the South. Eventually, Ida B. Wells purchased partial interest in a Black newspaper called the Memphis Free Speech and Headlight, later renamed the Free Speech. And it became a real hit. She was the editor of that paper. She didn't shy away from controversy. And in the pages of the free speech, she talked about everything that mattered to Black people. A turning point in her career occurred when she wrote an article that was very critical of Memphis's separate but not so equal schools. That anonymous piece described the rundown buildings and teachers who had received little more education than their students. Such revelations didn't sit well with the members of the local school board. So along with everything else that she had done and about the free speech, as far as her paper is concerned, they knew that she was the one who had written the article. So its uproar cost her teaching job. She earned enough money, though, to purchase a half a share in that newspaper, and under her leadership, increased the circulation to almost 4,000 for 1,500. I say all that to say it's very, very important that we realize the power of the pen, the power of free speech, the power of Black media. And so we have a future, or not a future, a right now journalist, a right now media professional that is a young millennial attending Howard University as part of the Chevrolet DTU program. Is June. Tell the people about yourself.
Man, Jeff, thank you for that just history, because even me in Chicago, we got a couple streets named Ida B. Wells. So we have Ida B. Wells in downtown, and it's something I see all the time, and we have a couple schools named after her. But just to really just hear that history, like, oh my gosh, even just being at the Black Press today, I was seeing a couple of the Houston Forward Times old presses book. Stories just today, and it's crazy how the anti-lynching bill what was denied this same. It's crazy, but thanks for having me. My name is June. I'm a 2021 DTU fellow. I'm a journalist. I'm a designer, and I'm happy to be here in any way I can just continue to put on for my community, get in the mix, and appreciate, add value to everything that I'm involved with. That's my goal.
So how old are you?
I'm 21.
21. I'm trying to remember what.
Marketing right now at Howard this summer. I just been discovering so much things that's been unexpected. I might just unexpectedly change my major.
I'll think of her name in just a minute, but they denied her initially tenure at University of Oklahoma, and now she's at Howard. But then we got Felicia Rashad. Yeah. Felicia Rashad, proud Houstonian, Jack Yates High School grad. She's now the dean over at Howard University, and she put out a tweet. You saw the tweet about her friend, Bill Cosby, and it caused a little bit of a uproar amongst the faculty and the students at Howard University. Talk about what was going on and your thoughts about that whole situation.
It was definitely something I feel like, oh, this social media is just, it can be something that's, you post something and then you realize it. Because I'll say, especially in that particular case, like with the Bill Cosby situation, that was really how I learned that he got out of prison, or that he was being released. So to just see that was like, it was a very endearing message. I would say that coming from school, just understanding that the different stories, just different voices, like different through lines and why certain messages are very important to make sure that, they're clear, they're thorough, because I would say one thing that I interpreted from that message was that, she has a personal relationship with him, and that's understandable. Like, she has a personal relationship with him. And to see any man, any person be incarcerated is never really my wish or my joy. But I think that one thing, just for that message, it was something that could have possibly just hurt somebody, to see that their dean or something, is supporting some, if you don't know all those informations, or if you only been receiving this story in this way, it can definitely be something that it can be almost harmful. But I think that the number one thing to do is just continue to have conversations and continue to discuss and say, because she want to celebrate that her friend got out of jail, but also her friend is, in controversial news, and there are, controversial opinions on that. But
y'all young folks, man, y'all came for her head, man.
Y'all came for her head. Because respectfully, you gotta know. You gotta know
what though?
You gotta know that when you put something out there, people gonna receive it.
Okay.
And that. With that being said, it can be taken so many different ways. Let's be compassionate in that. If you know that ending your sentence short is going to not necessarily give people the right message or idea that you have, but because this is the way that you would like to deliver it tastefully, that's not an excuse enough for you to cut your message off. Like, as far as presses and headlines, it will be wrong to offer a completely misleading headline just to catch people's eyes. You want to deliver a story, so let's make it palatable. Let's understand that if we cook something, people have to eat it. Just like we work in community, we're in community. You're never alone. So any idea, thought that you're sharing, people are going to receive it. People are going to hear it. So if you don't care for that, if you don't think about that ahead of time, people are going to respond.
So check this out. All right, Pete game. All right, so he was sentenced to prison. There was a lot of controversy about the whole trial itself anyway. A lack of evidence being provided. I had Stacey Brown on here who talked about a lot of the things surrounding the trial and a lot of the way he was railroaded with the trial. But you got a lot of people who went off on Bill Cosby, tweeted everything because he was arrested, because he went to jail, because he was convicted, and they had no problem putting that information out, tweeting all that information out in support, in essence, of his conviction as if he was guilty. But then you turn around and have that conviction overturned because of the same quote unquote evidence that they said he was needing to go to jail for. And Felicia Rashad, his friend, tweets out, congratulations, I'm excited about this overturn.
Like you said, like this is a joyous moment.
So what I'm saying is, ain't nobody go after the people that was tweeting out, celebrating him being arrested, celebrating him going to jail. So what was wrong with what she did?
You see, the bad guy here, the people to point the finger at is the punitive justice system, the prison industrial complex. Point the finger at them.
But they went for her.
Because it's like, you got this mindset, because as Black people, we want to redesign the world where there is no oppression, there is no right oppressor. Would there be prisons? How would we have handled that case? How would we have handled, like, when we study restorative justice, because we're so almost infatuated with making people bad, with making people, just really just only seeking punishment. You feel me? Seeking alienation, seeking isolation, seeking exile for people. But you take a look at so many writings, so many ways of life. That was systematic racism. That was the only way that was established. That was never inherently Black. That was never inherently
why did all of the
African.
students at Howard, not all, let me not say all, why did a lot of the students at Howard, a lot of the faculty and people go after Felicia Rashad to the point where she didn't have to issue an apology, but she did, talking about how she may have hurt some people. The man was found, they reversed the situation. So, I mean, it's like, if she would have tweeted out something saying this is BS, he should have stayed in jail, would they have received it the same way? Would they have said that she needed to go?
Smell, no, they would not.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's like to me, it's like a contradiction. It's like, you know, how you gonna go after her because she expressed something that she felt was an injustice against her friend? Well, let's not say, of course, that's her friend.
You feel me? We all know that we've seen the show.
But are you gonna be down with your friend? I'm talking about if you feel that your friend is not guilty about something, and
I tell my friends what's up, but respectfully, I wouldn't want to see them. I'll say like it's as simple as like, I wouldn't want to see none of my friends in jail.
But would you go on Twitter if they was released and they overturned whatever friend conviction that they had if they were in that situation? God forbid.
I ain't going on Twitter. Respectfully, I might repost a picture of it. I don't know, because I would say here's the thing with that. It's like you have to some things they're just not going to necessarily be received, but you have to stand 10 toes about what you're about. Some things may not be received in that manner, and in that sense, she still, you know, released that statement afterwards and saying like, "Hey, I understand. I might have, you know, hurt some people, or my statement might have been a little like." It was no words. It was like a picture of Bill Cosby, and she said this is a joyous moment, like nothing. But when you think about it, you have to understand that these cases like these, especially when we think about these famous people, what they represent, the nature of what they represent, people are using. There are so many places where women who have been hurt, who have been abused, who have been sexually assaulted, who have been sexually harassed, don't have a single voice. And there are a lot of people in middle America and smaller towns where you don't not necessarily have access to people even valuing you as a woman, where these cases speak for you. They help you feel seen. So when you see a woman come out, again, to speak about her truth and tell like, hey, this happened to me about somebody. Even with the case with Brett Kavanaugh a couple years ago with the Supreme Court justice, these were cases that real women saw other women come out and they were able to speak about it, because 1 in 3 women will be sexually assaulted. And that means I have sisters. You have sisters, you have daughters. That's how common it is, but we don't speak about it because it's pain. Mm-hmm. It's real pain there. Mm-hmm. So whilst it's tough to talk about the Bill Cosby situation, it does not represent all cases. It does not represent, it doesn't even represent, you feel me, the vast majority. It represents one instance in time, but it also, having such a national platform, it was an opportunity to discuss something that many people have not been able to even be able to talk about. How can you bring this stuff up without somebody joking? They don't even know that they're joking about trauma that you've been through, but they're talking about Bill Cosby, but you're thinking about your brother, sister, daughter, cousin, a real moment that happened to you. Mm-hmm. So I felt like when you know that you have to be cognizant of those things. It's called, keeping a pulse for. It's called being culturally competent. It's called being politically correct and understanding, whilst I do have personal connections with my friend, this situation. What platform do I have? Who am I telling this to? Who am I celebrating this information with? And how do I understand that this is more than that? So while necessarily Bill Cosby should surely be, he shouldn't go to jail for everybody else's offense. He shouldn't go to jail for every sexual assault case that happened. His information should be looked at. His trial should be looked at. His situation should be taken care of accordingly. But at that same token, when we speak about it, we need to make room to speak about the cases that happen silently, that happen unreported. While it is unfortunate that there's a small population of maybe allegations that might be untrue or questioned or details, there's the real fact is that women need to be protected. Our voices need to be uplifted. And that is not happening. That's happening at it's disproportionate right now.
So how does one create a space for that to happen? I mean, I know it's like you say, it's happened disproportionately and whatnot, but I mean, are there entities out there? Are there platforms out there for women to be able to express themselves in such a way to come forward? And then you see a lot of situations where a lot of women have lied about what happened to them or tried to take advantage of certain individuals. You know, you see what happened to that guy, Brian, I think his name was Banks. He was a former football player, and he was accused. He did have sexual relations with a female, but she said that he raped her. And that cost him not only his college career scholarship and everything, he went to jail. And it wasn't until he actually got her on the phone and asked her some questions, and she admitted that she lied against him, he was able to be released from jail. They did a movie about his life and everything. So it's such a slippery slope, because you got this catch-22 where you have some men who have been falsely accused of rape, and then you have women who are afraid to come forth, or when they do come forth, they get vilified. Why did it take you so long? Or, you know, why did you come forth sooner, and things like that. So are there platforms out there or means for women to express themselves?
Well, and that's why I say, the bad guy here is really like the punitive justice system, for teaching us that you could lock people up and that be the solution. You should come. Restorative justice is a practice that's been growing, and it's been telling people. I think one of the spaces that we can all make for women and just a better society is within ourselves. Is to be more compassionate to people falling and getting back up, and wanting to see them get back up. Being more open to seeing, like, can somebody get back up? How can we help them? How can we have these discussions and really just try to empower people? Because when you are able to move from a space, place, point of compassion, but just also understand that there are time periods where people are in shock. There are years where people are in shock. They wouldn't even know how to discuss something, and just not faulting anybody for what's going on with them. So when we talk about just creating those spaces, I feel like it's something that we can do daily. We can want to hear people more, hear their experiences, and not necessarily listen for something that's going to please us or please our desires or please our egos, because there are men who also suffer from sexual assault and feel as though they don't necessarily can speak up. There are women and men who feel as though when it comes to sexuality and their sexual desires, that they don't know how to communicate them, and it leads to so much just pain. When I hear cases come up and different allegations, because I hear them on a social level now, even at my age, because we do have those levels where it's like, okay, this NFL player or this athlete or whatever. I'm always on the side of just like, I believe women first, but at the same token, I said, I'm not looking to make somebody a bad guy. I'm not looking to say that you need to spend 35 years in privilege. I don't see that. That's the solution that the white man put in place. That's the solution that they put to make money off the $20,000 every day that you're sleeping in an inmate bed so they can go lease your work. I don't believe in that. There's no way that that's actually going to heal our community, when several other countries don't even have a prison system set up like that. But do I believe there should be consequences to actions? I believe that, yes, we should have discussions on those. Is it necessarily, it's never going to be easy in a sense of where there's no part that's not going to be frustrating. There's going to be times where you're going to like, oh my gosh, we're talking about consent. We're talking about all these things that are making people uncomfortable, but you just have to have patience with those conversations, because the reason why we keep having the discussion is because we go A to B and then back to A and then back to B. And then we go to A to B and then back to A and then back to B. The reason why, we keep A and back to B, but nobody wants to actually take the time to really just be a little frustrated.
So let's talk about something. I'm enjoying this dialogue. June with the DTU, Chevrolet DTU program, interning with Forward Times and right now, but R. Kelly. They're doing jury selection for his trial right now. And you look at the situation with R. Kelly, and we hear the stories of alleged pedophilia or whatever, him being with younger girls, and et cetera. And of course, he's been in jail now for some time, awaiting trial. And you got a lot of people that are piling on him and blaming him. But then you had a lot of parents and others who allowed their daughters to participate in the situation. So What are your thoughts on that? Are y'all having discussions on campus about those type of things, about R. Kelly or?
We having discussions, but it's really hit the bricks with R. Kelly, because to me,
he from the shop.
I know, and it's just like that. It's chops. Like, I can't even mess with you on a sense of just like, I feel like when we talk about a lot of the cases that we were talking about just even before, those were two consenting adults. You know what I mean? And when we get into different areas, now we're like moving into different areas of the world, believing different things. So understand that there are areas where they think it's perfectly fine to sell a 13-year-old girl into marriage. To each their own. I will never call anybody primitive. I will never disrespect and call anybody ignorant for a belief. I do not believe that is the progression of human society. But at that same token, you know, prostitution is legal in Vegas, you know, because it's a culture. Sometimes it's you can understand that things may not have always been from this evil, dark place. It might have just been the way things were. Life expectancy was shorter at a certain time back then, but it's not acceptable now. At least for a lot of the people, even in my age group. One of the ways that we sort of like just chops R. Kelly, and it's easier for us because I'm not that attached to his songs. Even respectfully, well, I believe I can fly, you know, like I'm not I ain't gonna step in the name, but like there's only so many that I really like will be so like he wasn't somebody I actively saw, grew a connection to, but at that same token,
bump and grind though.
You feel me? Type of thing, you know. But at that same token, I can't even watch with it because when I hear, especially because I'm so close in age to it, when I hear Aaliyah's music and I know that she was 15, you know, that it's hard. I'm 21. I was just 15. And
so I mean, what you saying about that?
Do you know what I mean? Like, no, like just that, even that situation, that's what we were just talking about was two adults. You feel me? Two adults. I feel like once you involve children, it's over with. Like that's tough. That's sickness. That's therapy. That's get you away from all kids. Like there's a reason you shouldn't be around people who less than 18. You feel me? Less than 21.
So he needed to go to jail, is what you said.
I said he need to be in a special community. You feel me?
What kind of community? What kind of community? A jail community? A mental health community? Like what? Where you need to be?
Where they got all the people who need to work on you feel me, they urges. And they live together, they plant, they farm. You see, I'm not saying take him to jail. I'm saying make something new.
But he got to be somewhere. Is you saying he don't need to be in the free world?
Don't need to. I'm not saying he don't need to be in the because in the most ideal world he would never be around. Because here's the thing with children, you cannot do that. You cannot do that. Like you have to understand. You go, you buy a kid ice cream. You know they ain't never seen no 3 scoops. Get them 3 scoops. That they don't come in the car. That's manipulation. That's horrible. That's you using your age and your wisdom.
I don't know if he gave him 3 scoops.
He didn't give him 3 scoops.
You know, but I mean, he gave him something else. He didn't give him. I'm sure it involved money or the potential to be a star. It's
real easy to get a kid. Like you feel me? Like it's real. It's so easy. Like you don't blame no 9-year-old that got in a van. Cause you know the person got candy and when they got too close they got snatched. Like you don't blame no 9-year-old. So when do we start? You know, as soon as women get breasts, as soon as women start, you know, going through puberty, as soon as young girls start going through this age, that's when we start looking at them with less compassion. We start looking at them like they're trying to be deceitful or trying to be fast, you know, or something like that. Or these girls just want to be around R. Kelly. No, these girls were young. These girls are part of our communities. These girls could be doctors, could be woo, could be anything they want to be. Of course, they want to be big girls, they want to be stripped. Let them get to the age where they can make that choice. But when we get everybody at this point in age, even at 21, I'm speaking. I know somebody listening, like, man, you young. How you talking? You know, you don't got sense for yourself for a reason. You don't have sense for yourself for a while. So even when we say, oh, the parents might have been placing, shame on everybody. Shame on everybody. There was a
so
kid.
They need to be in a special community too?
Shame on everybody. You feel me?
Do they need to be in a special community with him?
Respectfully.
I'm just saying,
Yes,
okay, well,
yes.
where is that special community located though? I mean, I'm just saying,
it
like,
needs to be somewhere.
if it ain't
nice.
jail, you know what I'm saying? I mean, you saying like he need to be
just go
at a country club or
you
something
feel me?
like
Something nice. No need to suffer. No need to suffer. You feel me? But I'm still at that place where I'm like, we gotta still talk about it because I'm still brainstorming. I think there is a solution out there, but when it comes to kids, I feel like we have to like talk about our kids because people want it like that stuff dark. Like, you know, it shouldn't be no kids who gotta be sex slaves. We passed that. It shouldn't be no women who have to, you feel me, sell their body to make money. It should be a choice. If you want to do that, go ahead and do it. But if somebody is introducing you to that, influencing you to do that at 13, 14 years, it's not a choice.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a choice. That's the only thing that you're seeing. Gang, just like with gang banging, drugs, if that's the only thing that you see, it's not a choice. You didn't have access to other things. And we have to make sure that that's concretely not fair. You shouldn't, I think prostitution, all that could be legal. And I think you should be able to do it after 25. At 25, go do what you want to do. You got it. At that point, you should know what you want to do with your life.
Mm-hmm.
You done had a couple years. You done had 8, 7 years after high school, after woo. Like, you know, like, all right, you're starting to become more of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Adult decisions. Same way, why they don't let you, you feel me, rent a car to a certain age, you know what I mean? Or you have to pay an absorbent amount. Why they don't let you lease a house? Why you can't run for office till a certain age? Because they know you don't got it all there yet. They know there's only so much you can know. And that's from people even before us. Saying that, they was like, oh, they got to 60. And they was like, oh, I ain't know nothing at 30. I ain't know nothing at 18. Oh, I'm old. I ain't know nothing at that age. I wish I had somebody to tell me. So no, that's why I say with R. Kelly, it's all chops. It's all chopsticks. You feel me? Everybody needs to know. Like, if he could just wear a sign that say I'm a predator, he could go out in the society. I have issues. Write your stuff on there. So everybody can see it, leave you alone, but you shouldn't be around no kids because you don't have So
he shouldn't be around anybody that's age what?
He shouldn't be around no kids that's unsupervised for sure.
I mean, what age though? I mean,
what age? It seemed like he got whatever age his victims. So
you're saying that they are victims. So you've already deemed them guilty.
I say, like, because you have to know it's multiple victims. So if you've seen even that Lifetime with a whoop, a 13-year-old can't consent, a 14-year-old can't consent. He had the most controversial case back in like the 2000s with the P situation. It's like, gee, that was what? Like, come on, it's chops. It's chops for him. You can't do it no more because that's chops. That's chops. He chopped it up. Is woo woo.
Y'all heard it here. She don't need to be on the jury. She done already deemed him guilty. She's not impartial at all.
I'm not impartial at all. It's chops. It's OVA. Like, bro, you already like, you done fool me once. Shame on you. Fool me. Can't get fooled again.
June, Chevrolet DTU in the building with me here on Real Talk Junkies Live. But hey, check this out. I want to ask you another question about, you're young, you're 21. I remember those days. What are you guys talking about now? I mean, like, what are I talked about Ida B. Wells, right? And I know you're in you're a rising journalist and media professional. And so you have a responsibility with the information that you put out. But I want to talk about the information you guys received. Ida B. Wells, she got enough money to, buy a newspaper, and she had printing press, and she talked about issues that were important to Black people back then in the late 1800s, such as lynching. I mean, basically taking a Black person and stringing them up with a rope for whatever reason, merely because they Black, or they were successful, they were trying to vote, whatever, or register to vote, and hanging them until the point of death, amongst other things, mutilation, burning them, castrating them. I mean, all kind of stuff was taking place. But lynching was the kind of the thing of the day, throwing that rope around that tree and letting them hang there for the world, the white world, to witness. So she used a platform to be able to let people know that this was wrong and to bring attention to this issue. What are y'all talking about? What are y'all, I mean, there's so many people that are vilifying Black Lives Matter, which was started by young Black women and a few other individuals that has spread like wildfire when Trayvon Martin was murdered and his murderer was let off, George Zimmerman. Then, of course, hands up, don't shoot. You know, you had Mike Brown situation, and it kind of picked up steam from there. What are y'all talking about? I mean, y'all got social media now, TikTok and Instagram and Twitter, and I guess y'all ain't on Facebook, huh?
You know, and see, I feel like we're talking about getting wealth. We're talking about breaking generational cycles. We're talking about really just evolving and getting out of places or same spaces. You know, we're talking about traveling. We're talking about exploring the world. We're talking about we're not spending too much time talking about what we don't like. And we're spending more time talking about what we see and what we want to do. Because we was raised out of what we like and what we don't like. We was raised out of that same environment. So just even thinking like the news that we're doing, like we really like you know we do. And on that note, we're more doers than talkers. Like we're more doers than talkers on every note in the sense of, I don't know what Houston was looking like during last summer, but Chicago was up. It was lit. Y'all trying to take Breonna Taylor. Y'all trying to take Mike Brown, like y'all trying to take George Floyd. Like, nah, we're gonna speak, we're gonna do something, because at a certain time and place and token, they're like, nah, like everything I want it now. And I'm gonna get it now. I claim it as mine. We're that generation where we're saying what we want, we're gonna get it. But we desire, we are taking it. Currently now, some people, they've come from their hardships or their past or has made them just want to be self-sufficient, just want to be self-sufficient leaders in their own governing body, and then whatever ways they can help their community, they'll do so. So I'll say a lot of conversations that we're having is really getting out of poverty, getting into wealth, getting the access to just go learn. A lot of people are trying to save up and travel. They say, I've been in this city for so long, I haven't seen nothing else. I feel it spiritually calling me to tell me to go learn something, to go get a new view. That's really what a lot of young people now are talking about, because you see everything that's going on bad in the world, but we just know it's too many of us for it to stay that way. And just like that, like the torch is passed to us. So you're gonna live only a certain amount of years, like. Maybe we get to like 17, we tired of being in the same place. Like, you know, we get to like 16, no, man, I done seen the same thing. No, I want more, I want better. We're talking about not being complacent, for real. And just daring to be courageous continuously, like facing our fears. We have a lot more top conversations about mental health. Like when Michael Jackson said, I'm starting with the man in the mirror. We really start with ourselves. Like, you know what I mean? We really trying to like start. That's why you'll see like a wave more of like spirituality, because they always like targeting our blackness. Like it's been that way, like those same conversations. So why have the conversation of which race is like we feel it. Like it's, I think energetically, it's even in the world. It's like you said, like we've continuously had these conversations over and over and over and over that we're the generation, we're just going to do it.
So do you all do, let me speak for, you represent all, 21-year-old millennial. Well, I guess y'all ain't millennials. Y'all are
we like
generation
Z type thing,
Z or something like that, or
XYZ. That's what I'm like.
Yeah. So in your generation, I guess the question that I have for you is, do you all actually understand? Because back in the Gap in the 60s, the civil rights movement was prevalent, because after Reconstruction, there were so many laws, particularly in the South, that negatively impacted Black people. Jim Crow and many others, poll taxes, literacy tests were implemented. And you couldn't use public facilities. You had white only, colors only, all this stuff was going on. You couldn't have in the back of the bus, all this stuff popping, right? So that generation rose up and said, no, we ain't having it. Like you said, we want change. We want it now. We ain't selling no more. We willing to do whatever it takes. I feel like I call us the beneficiaries of the civil rights struggle, because those after the baby boomers that came about, they dropped the ball. We dropped the ball, and I feel like we had a couple of generations that dropped the ball, and like you say, had become self-focused, and let me get it for me, and forget about everything else, and forgot that there was systemic racism and systems in place that negatively impacted people, not just in the criminal injustice system, but in healthcare, education, everywhere. So I see you all now apparently focused on, like you say, I want it now, I want change, similar to those baby boomers back in the day, that civil rights movement generation, like, nah, man, we ain't settling for this. But do you all see racism and systemic racism and white supremacy the same way that those folks did back then?
I'll say I feel like we definitely have our own unique view on it, for sure. Our own unique place and perspective. Hindsight is always 20/20 type of thing. We have our own place in that referendum, that own like correlation towards systematic racism, and seeing that pretty much daily. I'd say that what we do, we see it all the time. We see it all the time. I think that even like what you're saying, to touch on the different generations, it's like there's an aspect, it's like a little metaphor I like to think about sometimes. Chicken problems versus eagle problems. Chickens talk about people, eagles talk about ideas. What do you look like an eagle pecking around with chickens? Nah, you're supposed to fly. You're supposed to be above all of that. So I think somewhere along the line, as Black people started buying more things, started owning more things, or even just starting to live with this new freedom, like focus on things like housing, things like we saw ourselves moving in neighborhoods, getting more, expanding more to now it's Black person everywhere, pretty much in America, to where you would look and you would see this person, but you might not, because of all this hardship around you, you might see them harshly, and you might forget that this person is actually your brother. This person is actually your comrade in this war, in this fight, in this way of freedom that we're forging. So I say, like, yeah, we see it all the time. I definitely experience racism, systematic racism. We get arrested just the same,
Yeah, but I'm talking about beyond the whole, because I think the emphasis is always on, and it's a big emphasis to have, and it's something of importance, the police brutality and the injustice that we're experiencing in the criminal injustice system. But I'm talking about, you think about healthcare. You talked about us owning stuff, but we really aren't.
More than before 300 years ago.
Well, I'm just saying, you look at the fact that back in the day, in the 60s and even early 70s, African Americans actually were homeowners, landowners. And now when you talk about assets and you talk about wealth, we really don't have wealth. Matter of fact, the wealth gap is expanding and is more than triple between Blacks and whites. And the reason being is because we don't actually own anything. We're renting, we're leasing, we don't have insurance policies, we don't have homes. We are leasing homes, leasing apartments, or renting. We're leasing cars, or that's the only asset we pretty much have, a car. If we have a car. If we have a car, that's really the only asset we have. But we think about stocks and insurance and investments and things like that. We really don't. So I'm asking, from a 21-year-old perspective, I mean, I'm happy to hear that you're saying that y'all own getting yours and buying things and investing and stuff. But it seems to me that the generations before you all, we dropped the ball significantly. We are the ones that gave up the power that we had, because we moved from our neighborhoods where we had the power politically, and now we out in all of the suburbs and stuff like that. And now we have less power because, yeah, we're out there in a nicer neighborhood, living good, but our political power is not the same, because it's a few of us and a whole lot of them, whatever them is, white, Asian, Hispanic, wherever. So we don't have the same type of power that we had in the 60s, in my opinion. And I'm happy to see that young people like yourselves and others are taking it back and having a different perspective. I just would hope that you all truly understand that there are systems in place that have been put in place to keep us down, to target us, to keep you and I, regardless of age, downtrodden, and to put us in jail or to keep our money out of our pockets and to just be consumers instead of investors and or people that have assets. And so what is your 5-year goal?
5-year goal, from there, I want to own property. I want to own a lot of property. I want to do a lot. Like 5 years from now, I am going to own a lot of property in Chicago, investing in and just holding on to that. I want to see it grow. 5 years from now, I am #1 on the Billboard charts already. So I'm music, I'm an artist. I'm going to be expressing that gift of mine. 5 years from now, I'm owning property. I'm starting businesses. I have platforms where we can come together and we can conversate and we can learn from each other. I host events where we can discuss how we are truly the greatest resource to each other when we realize that you are golden and I am golden, that you are God, that I am God. That's my focus for those 5 years, and really just continuing to promote belief, because it all starts with belief and inspiring people and letting them understand that, hey, believe that you can own that block. Believe that patch of grass that you see is worth something. Believe that you can save up and have it still be worth something. Believe that you can buy it and have it still be worth something. Believe that you can go through a hard, rainy day where the only thing you got is that plot of grass and it can still be worth something. Because one thing I even learned just being here in Houston, Miss Karen Carter-Rich, she said, they don't make new land. Mm-hmm. They don't make new land. They don't. They just build things on top of it. So if you can buy it, and even if somebody mad at you, buy what you're going to get. Buy it up and keep going. Everything else is going just like that. When we work together, get you a team. I'm going to be solid with a team in 5 years for sure. Of just loving of a community to stay together, and we're stronger together, and don't forget that.
So today is we're in 2021. So 5 years from now in 26, I need you to come back and look at this live that we did, because it's gonna be out there in the social media space forever. And remember what you said about yourself. And when it happens, then you be like, I predicted this back in the day. Now I'm gonna put you on the spot for a second, because we're coming up to the end of the show shortly. You talked about your talent, and I'm thinking Joshua. Joshua's my producer. I'm just trying to figure out if she really gonna be able to spit some live, in the form of a spoken word or rap or something like that. For the listeners, I'm gonna see what she all about. You know what I'm saying? I mean, she talked about Billboard charts and all this.
That's what she said.
I mean, that's what she said, right? I'm just saying. I mean, out of her mouth, So go ahead, spit a little something for me.
Okay. See, I do not rock with no enemies. Only the realest consider as kin to me. Only forgive all them who sin to me. Oh, you do what you do. I don't take offense. I don't watch the news. My life is a muse. Young queen is a star of movies. Who else would it be? I was like, do better. I was dripping in rainbow and sketches. Now I'm walking in Mason Margiela's. I live like a legend. See, it ain't no secret I need you. I'm all in my cash. I'm all in my bag. I'm counting the seconds to see you. I hop on the stage. I'm leading the wave. Where's June? Where's June? Where's
June? That's what I'm talking about. Say, hey, look, when that becomes a hit, remember I said June. So I gotta get my credit. I gotta get my credits. You know what I'm saying? We gotta make sure we get that ASCAP money coming through. You know what I'm saying? That was fire. Appreciate you. So, I kind of want to go back to something else though. I mean, because you talked about, doing stuff in the community. I know you have an initiative. that you started. You know, talk about that.
So Inslee, thanks so much. 360 is a dream. It's a mission. It's a business. It's definitely been something I've been working on for the past 3 years. It really feels like a collection of just blessings and putting that towards and expressing that message out there with my community. And that's just been something that's been my entire life. But 360 is a vision. It's a corporation. It's a vision. It's a company, Black owned. And it's really always highlighting the voices of artists, of communities, it started in Chicago with the collective of artists where we were throwing events around the city, really having a mission to say, hey, our community does need more access. What we have is an amazing skill set, a group of people who, wow, just dazzling creations can be made, dazzling gains in our communities through conversation, through artistic creation. One thing that's been so powerful for me and that I feel like has really been a goal of 360 is recognizing arts as a catalyst for social change, recognizing creative expression as a catalyst for social change, and really just building on the idea that once we continue to promote belief, once we continue to get loud, express ourselves, and lead with example, everybody will feel it. Continue to do that. So in Chicago, we started off just throwing events and saying, hey, y'all have stigmatized the South Side of Chicago to be a violent place where nobody can come outside. It's making everybody depressed, G. It's not that. Like, come outside on 63rd, come outside on 53rd, come outside on 51st, 79th. We're here. We're going to find a Black-owned business. We're going to bring 40, 50 people there. We're going to have a mic. We're going to have music. We're going to have a DJ. You sell stuff? Great. Come make money. Come be a vendor. Let's offer opportunities. Food, look, it's businesses right up the street, Black owned too. The venue probably selling some food too. Let's all just be here together, be a community, be what it's supposed to be like, see it, believe it, and continue doing it, continue expressing it. And now we have booming businesses. Now we have areas where, you know, kids aren't anxious to walk down the street. They just were jubilating, celebrating joy on this street. And that changes how you move, how you walk. Just those slight things can be an amazing difference. So 360 has been a business of mine that's been really just focusing on helping as far as whatever ways we can create fashion, music, influence the culture, have conversations. We've done a restorative healing circle where we just talk about, you know, traumas, talk about those, they really take those time. It's real grassroots community work. People don't want to be out in these streets. People don't want to really be out in these streets. People don't want to really stand next to somebody, looking how they look, smelling how they smell. People don't really want to do that. But it's real work that you got to be able to do. So 360 is one that I've been so blessed and fortunate to be able to have had a mark on Chicago's culture. I've had a mark on Chicago's scene, and really just been a blessing of, you know, these other organizations pouring into me. And just, as I said, as the torch passes, it's going to keep getting brighter.
Yeah, you know, I love the Chi. I used to spend a lot of time out there. I used to go there all the time for two reasons. One, it ain't the same like it used to be, but the taste of Chicago used to be the bomb. You too young to probably remember the taste.
I know the taste.
You know, the taste, but I'm talking about back in the day when it was for real. It's
Junkies.
nowhere near as it used to be, you know, but the taste of Chicago, I mean, all the artists used to come out there, Common and Kanye and R. Kelly and everybody would come out there and on the big stage and representing all of the food vendors would be out. It's totally different now.
The Ludacris came out.
Yeah, oh my God, man. It used to be the bomb, but it's totally not the same, you know, but I used to go there every year for the taste. And I helped get the Watch the Mutual started out there in Chicago and in Schaumburg. Schaumburg, is that how you pronounce it? Schaumburg?
Yeah, Schaumburg.
Schaumburg, which is a little suburb. A lot of time there, and it was definitely a great experience. It wasn't the crime-ridden narrative that's being put out there. So I'm glad you shared that about, you know, what's really going on, because you look at the news reports, which is why the media is so important. And going back full circle to how I started this, you know, you being an African-American female, young, 21, you know, you think about Ida B. Wells and the influence that she had in making a difference in her community, to the point where she was even exiled because of the attacks that she received, but she spoke truth to power. And I want to just encourage you, as you're going through this Chevrolet DTU program and as you're seeking to get more involved in the entertainment space and the media space. Speak truth to power. Don't be afraid to do so, and use integrity and stand on your convictions, because you can easily be swayed, or some people, not you. Some people can be easily swayed because of money or because of whatever situation. But if you have a conviction and the righteous reason why you're doing what you're doing, just like myself, I do Real Talk Junkies because I want to use this platform to put out information, to have discussion and dialogue, that it empowers the community. It educates, equips, and empowers the community. And I want to encourage you to do the same. And especially, y'all as young people, man, y'all don't really like to read the news as much as some of us older people. But I do believe that you all are gravitating towards more news, especially through social media spaces and stuff like that. So please use your platforms to educate, equip, and empower your generation and those to come. Cool.
I appreciate that.
All right, y'all. June with the Chevrolet DTU program joining me on Real Talk Junkies Live. Great discussion. We could just keep it going, man. But I got to close out.
Shout out to the Black Press.
Shout out to the Black Press. Shout out to the Forward Times. Shout out to Dr. Benjamin Chavis with the National Newspaper Publishers Association and Black Press USA. Shout out to Stacey Brown. Shout out to Karen Carter Richards. Shout out to the whole Forward Times staff. Shout out to JJ, Joshua, Kelly. Shout out to Chelsea.
Shout out my mama.
Shout out my mama too. Everybody at the Forward Times, Joyce, man. Hey, listen, we doing great work here in the community. Shout out to everybody. But we're gonna close, and I want to just close with this information. We started off with history, but I want to talk about the power and importance of the Black Press and empowering young, future leaders like, she's a current leader that's going to be even brighter for our future. By the end of the 1930s, I'm talking about, 1930s, after, things was really popping then. But, you had that whole situation with the pandemic that they was dealing with back then, the Spanish flu, you had the Great Depression, all kind of stuff going on. But anyway, at that time, at the end of the 1930s, Black newspapers actually were booming. They had reached new heights of circulation and influence and were tested real seriously during World War II, when our own government, the United States government, decided that they were going to flex their muscles against Black newspapers because of our influence. If you look at this PBS film called The Black Press, Soldiers Without Swords, you'll hear the narrator share how a Black cafeteria worker named James Thompson from Wichita, Kansas, suggested in a letter to the Pittsburgh Courier that African Americans should use the war that was happening overseas to bring about and press for change in our own backyard. In the film, you hear through a voiceover of Thompson stating, should I sacrifice my life to live half American? Will things be better for the next generation and the peace to follow? Let me and us colored Americans adopt the double V for the double victory. The first V for victory over our enemies from without, talking about overseas. The second V for victory over our enemies from within, because we were facing enemies from within. The Black Press got behind this double V campaign, and it was so effective that in 1942, J. Edgar Hoover, one of the worst white men to ever walk this planet, presented then Attorney General Francis Biddle with lengthy reports on what he saw as seditious activity by the Black Press. He asked the Attorney General, Biddle, to indict a group of Black publishers for treason. You had the publisher of the Chicago Defender, a man by the name of John Senstack, who had a meeting with the Attorney General Biddle, where he boldly told him, quote, "What are we supposed to do about it? These are facts and we're not going to stop. That's what it's all about." He said, that's what the Black Press is all about, protecting Blacks in this country, unquote. As the World War II ended, the campaign for equality at home and abroad had pushed the combined circulation of Black newspapers for a record high, listen to this, 2 million newspapers a week. But victory at home had yet to be won. The Black Press was a catalyst behind the success of the civil rights movement. And let me tell you, Dr. King stated that, quote, our lives begin to end the day we become silent about the things that matter. If you ever get an email from me, you know that quote is going to be on that. The power of the Black voice has and continues to make a difference in our world. When I first started at the Houston Forward Times, I received a call from a guy who was a Black media professional who read one of my first articles. And he said to me, and I quote, "Who do you think you are? You don't have the intellect to be a journalist, June," is what he told me. Short of being stunned by this person's response, who I respected for their craft for many years, I instantly got over that shock and immediately realized what was happening. The enemy was trying to tell me to do what he's always tried to tell many in the Black media and community to do for years. Shut up, go somewhere and sit down. The Black press has always been on the side of right and on the side of justice. As unjust laws like the ones we're seeing trying to be pushed today, as to the reason why Democrats have left Texas and went to DC, as these unjust laws were created and enforced, like poll taxes that were levied, dogs being unleashed on us, jail cells being filled with Black people just because they protested, the Black press has always been on the front lines, period. It wasn't just Martin Luther King that led the way. We stand on the shoulders of those that have come before us. Those Black newspapers who promoted the Double V campaign were told to shut up, June. When our forefathers were beaten and humiliated before their own people to make an example of them, they were trying to get them to shut up, June. We must never shut up. We must continue to speak truth to power in order to make a difference, June. And we're going to do that together.
We sure will.
All right. Shout out to June. Shout out to all the RTJs. Make sure y'all tune in next week for another hot edition of Real Talk Junkies Live. Don't argue with me. See you soon.